Hi, I'm Max Keiser, co-host of the Keiser Report for over 10 years. We were the first to break Bitcoin internationally when it was $1, talking about it ever since. I was at the first Bitcoin conference in 2011. There was about 40 people there. It was held in Prague. And here we are 10 years later with 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people. And so Bitcoin is just really taking over the world. I think we're going to see a global Bitcoin standard. We're going to see the collapse of central banks. We're going to see the collapse of many nation states. We're going to see an outbreak of peace. We're going to see the end of fear and war and the beginning of love and peace. I'm most excited about in terms of the Bitcoin decentralization movement is the elimination of all fear that has plagued mankind from the beginning. The culture is definitely shifting as a result of Bitcoin because it's perfect money, perfect price discovery at the perfect time. So humans are evolving away from being fear-based to being love-based. It's what Jesus Christ was talking about but never got a chance to fully implement. Bitcoin is Jesus Christ 2.0, but much more profound, much more significant. This is the beginning of the end of fear and hatred and war. There are no other players in this space. There's Bitcoin, and then there's a lot of shit coins, just like there was Jesus and there was a lot of fake Jesus. Just like there's the original David sculpture, and there's a lot of shit. It's a one-off. It was a virgin birth. There's nothing like it before it, nothing like it after it. And don't bother with anything else but Bitcoin. My interest in virtual currencies and digital currencies and money and finance, that it goes back 30 years, that this was the culmination of all that study and all that work. I invented the first patented digital currency in 1996. And so when I saw Bitcoin in 2011, I realized that this was the culmination of all the cypherpunks and all the people that were interested in perfect money. The best thing anybody can do is just to own some Bitcoin and let it work on your mind. It's like taking acid, right? How do you describe to somebody, what's it like dropping acid? Well, you really can't describe it. You have to do it. With Bitcoin, it's hard to describe the feeling. You have to own it. And then you let it transform your being. There's one golden rule in Bitcoin. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. So as it percolates through the industry, as it percolates through the banking system, as it percolates through cultures and humanity, it'll profoundly change everything that comes in its path, ultimately transforming everything, ultimately becoming the world reserve standard as we go into a Bitcoin standard and we enter a new era of perfect money, perfect price discovery. We still have central bankers, and they'll be gone in 10 years' time. We won't have any left. We already see hyper-Bitcoinization in countries like Nigeria and all over Africa. People are embracing Bitcoin for what it is, perfect money. And probably the United States will be one of the last countries to embrace it because we have the world reserve currency at the moment, and Americans benefit by having the world reserve currency. So we have a free ride on the global economy. And so we're reluctant to give that up. But other countries are bypassing the US dollar. They're bypassing sanctions. Russia, Iran, China, Venezuela, Argentina, Nigeria, Sudan, Ethiopia. All these countries around the world are breaking away from US dollar hegemony, breaking away from the US dollar colonialization, breaking away from the empire of America and the empire of debt and fiat money. And everyone's going to be a lot better off, including Americans. Bitcoin's never been less volatile. Elon's impact on the price is relatively nothing. Compared to when I started in 2011, we had 30, 40, 50, 60% moves in a day, often. Now we have 15 major drawdowns since 2011. The current drawdown is about the 9th biggest. It's totally average. And going forward, the volatility will get less and less as the price continues to skyrocket higher. And what I call the bum of the month club, you'll get a new bum. Now, Elon Musk will be forgotten in 2 months, but some other jackass will come out and say stupid things about Bitcoin, and they'll be forgotten. My prediction for 2021 that I made in January is $220,000 per coin. My predictions have been uncannily accurate for 10 years. It doesn't matter really because ultimately all fiat money is going to go out of existence. And we're entering into a new era where the whole idea of wealth and money changes. And that's more exciting than just a raw percent gain. I don't really buy anything. For example, I don't have a car. I don't even have a driver's license. I have a shitload of Bitcoin, but I live like a monk because I don't see it as a means toward conspicuous consumption. I see it as a path toward salvation. Everyone in the Bitcoin community is equal, and we're all on the same pilgrimage, heading in the same direction. And if you've ever been on a pilgrimage, you know the camaraderie that you find on the pilgrimage. Everyone is equal. Everyone has to shit. Everyone has to eat. Everyone needs water. Everyone's tired. And we're all heading in the same place. And we're all equal. It's egalitarian. Nobody is better than anybody else. And we have a spiritual objective. Same thing with Bitcoin. The Bitcoin standard implementation globally means that global energy usage is going to be cut in half. So we go from 160,000 terawatt hours a year of energy usage. That gets cut in half immediately once you go into a Bitcoin standard, because you're getting rid of the worst energy abusers in the world: central banks, economists, economics, bankers, and the military. Right? The U.S. is one of the biggest abusers of energy in the world. For what? It's a total waste. The Pentagon, the biggest waste of energy ever in history. So when you have an outbreak of peace and love, military spending becomes obsolete. And that's a huge benefit for the ecology, the huge benefit for the environment.
Elon! Fuck Elon!
Dude. All right.
Max and I, we talked this morning to coordinate our outfit. And I wanted Max to wear black, and Max wanted me to wear white. So we agreed.
Yeah! Have a seat. All righty. Michael Saylor. Giga Chad.
Max Keiser, High Priest of Bitcoin. Father, I have sinned.
My first question is, what does it feel like to be a newbie?
You know, I was going to tell you, I realized that I first bought Bitcoin 1 year ago yesterday, and so this is the end of my rookie year.
Right on. All right, I wanted to get into that. So going back to around 2014, your friend Eric Weiss, he was talking to you about Bitcoin. You kind of ignored it. Then in 2020, he mentioned it again. And within a few weeks, you were buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin for you and your company. What the fuck happened?
Well, I guess I lost faith in all of my traditional investment strategies. You know, I didn't really think much about the dollar and about inflation. I thought there was no inflation, and I thought I could just sit and own big tech companies and the world would work itself out. And I guess around March, everything changed, and the monetary inflation rate tripled, and it became pretty clear that the big tech trade was a crowded trade. You know, at the point that my niece in her early 20s was telling me about Apple stock, you know, I figured that maybe it wasn't cutting edge. So I looked around and I discovered Bitcoin, and when I discovered Bitcoin, I thought, well, this is digital gold on a big tech monetary network, and it's going to grow by a factor of 100. And then I thought, well, I should buy as much as I can. And what I tell people even this day is what I was buying it, and I was thinking, I have to buy as fast as I can, as much as I can, because someone else might figure this out before, and then I won't be able to. And
okay, that's really interesting for the shareholders. But, I mean, my understanding is that you were visited by the ghost of Satoshi at night and came to you in a dream and converted you. That's not the story.
Yeah, Satoshi speaking through all of her or his disciples on YouTube.
Your laser eyes are pointed right at my brain right now. Are you stealing my private keys?
No, you should keep your private keys.
This should save me.
I don't want your private keys.
Really? Okay, well, we just met, so I guess that would be a bit forward. Let's move on to some recent comments you've made. You were on talking about Bill Maher recently, and you said the following: there's something cruel and tasteless about a rich white male who wants to deprive billions of poor men, women, and children in Africa, Asia, South America of basic human right of economic self-preservation so they can generate a few laughs. That's a very kind of profound thing to say. And can you just talk a little bit about this idea of property rights for billions around the world and what Bitcoin offers and how you see that?
You know, I think after you study Bitcoin, the light bulb goes off, and what I realized is anybody on earth that wanted to own anything, that wanted to own some property, has a choice. You can buy land somewhere, but someone can tax it and take it away from you. You can buy gold, but someone can take it away from you. You can buy stocks, but you can never take possession of it. You can buy debt, you can never take possession of it. You can buy jewelry, people will take it away from you. And Bitcoin is the apex property of the human race. It's the first time we figured out how to create true property that you can take possession of with full custodial rights, that's least likely to be impaired, that's most mobile. And so, yeah, it doesn't matter if you have $1 billion. If you have $1 billion, you can buy a building in Manhattan or Bitcoin, you'd rather have the Bitcoin. And it doesn't matter if you have $387. If you have $387, you can still buy the Bitcoin, take it anywhere. And if you compare that to buying silver or gold or land or a stock, your custodial and your property rights are impaired by everything else. And so I think Bitcoin is truly a seminal invention of the human race, because for the first time in human history, we can grant property rights to 8 billion people. And that's what I think is cool.
Right. Is Bitcoin designed to attract attacks? It seems that it is, and the level of attacks are rising to the state level, et cetera. And is it a bug or a feature?
I think that which does not kill Bitcoin makes it stronger.
Right. All right, let's talk about energy for a second. So, total energy, global energy production is about 160,000 terawatt hours per year. I'm going to ask the audience right now, how much of that goes into Bitcoin? The choices are 10%, 5%, 1%, or 1/10 of 1%. Of that, how many people think it's 10%? Raise your hand. 5%? 1%? No, this poll sucks. 1/10 of 1%? Right, and as you point out, a third of that, 50,000 terawatts per hour, is wasted. You point out that literally Bitcoin is running on a quarter of the wasted energy. It's so little of that energy goes into Bitcoin, and yet we have this FUD, this ESG thing going on. What's your current thinking on this?
I think that Bitcoin is an extraordinarily disruptive, beneficial technology to the entire energy industry. And as I studied it, it became clear to me that it's the highest value use of intermittent energy. It's the highest value use of renewable energy. It's the highest value use of wasted or stranded energy. And it's just the highest value use of energy. period. And it's a solution to developing power plants in remote locations. It's a solution to driving up efficiency of plants and driving down cost. And it's a solution to solving any kind of challenging energy problem. And I think as the world understands it, they're going to embrace it.
Right on. So when Christine Lagarde, who's running the European Central Bank right now, refers to Bitcoin as an escape hatch, what does she mean? Is that she's seeing it as a negative, but I would posit that maybe you would see that in a different light.
Well, I mean, when you say Bitcoin is savings technology, you know, in a world where everyone's dissipating their energy, the most rational thing is to conserve yours. And so Bitcoin is conservation of energy. You can store your life force in fiat, and you know you're going to lose 1% to 2% a month. You might lose 4% a month in a collapsing currency or faster. You can store all of your economic energy in credit, and that's not much better. You can store it in equity, but then you take the risk of a company, and you never know when, like, look what just happened to AMC yesterday, right?
Right.
If you're going to store your money in AMC or Viacom or Bitcoin, at least Bitcoin has no CEO to print 10 million more Bitcoin overnight, whereas that might happen with an equity. So when we talk about an escape hatch, if you're looking for a safe haven, I see Bitcoin as the most secure, most reliable, most certain thing in the entire economic universe. And if you're looking for some place where you can store your life force or your economic energy, you know, there's no real question, right? Bitcoin, you can store it and take it with you wherever you want, or you can put it in land in a state subject to a governor, a mayor, a country, or you can put it on the stock exchange and you can worry about what the CEO or the board of directors will do the next day.
All right. Now, you've said on occasions, it's very interesting, you seem to allude to or refer to Bitcoin as something of a new life form. And sometimes you refer to it as evolving. You say nothing can compete with Bitcoin as money unless it's a unique, beautiful creature that does something unique. It's like plankton or a lobster. You refer to one of the shitcoins out there, Ethereum, as a shark duck that lives in trees. Right? So you use these life-affirming metaphors quite often, but the idea, the reason I bring this up is because the difficulty adjustment, the way it acts, seems like it's alive in a lot of ways. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think that a crypto is a living creature. We've released life in cyberspace, and Bitcoin, you could think of as a plant life or a plankton. It's a base level life. It's not the most complicated creature. It's not. You could think of it, some of the other DeFis, they want to be animals and run around, and Bitcoin wants to be greenery and cover the entire earth. Once you've released the DNA of the Bitcoin, you just have to let it fester everywhere in the world and let it be it. I think the beautiful thing about Bitcoin is it's done. There's no reason why it can't become a $100 trillion, $200, $300 trillion creature. And the fundamental difference, I think, with a crypto asset like Bitcoin versus what other people are trying to do in the spaces is the whole idea of a crypto asset is I put my monetary energy, my life force into it, and then I let it live for the next 1,000 years. And it's okay just to be alive for 1,000 years. It's okay to be, you know, what's wrong with being rich forever, right? I mean, and that's what Bitcoin is. And then all of the innovation will take place at the layer 2. I think when Square builds Bitcoin, when PayPal builds Bitcoin into its layer 2, as people build Lightning applications into their applications on the layer 2, I think they're doing all the beautiful, intricate, functional, high-performance things, and they take the risk, they have the upside, but we don't impair the underlying base layer. The life force of the world is Bitcoin. We just got to let it be and respect it for what it is and not mess with it.
Now, So let me ask you this. So you are, I believe, the longest sitting CEO of a tech company in America. Active CEO, continuous, going 20 years. And you've been around the block a few times. You know the industry. And this is like a second life for you, I would say. Was it a shock to suddenly come upon this technology? And really, there's been a rebirth for MicroStrategy and for this industry. How do you, on a personal level, was that a surprise to you, and how did you react to that?
You know, I mean, they say we say Bitcoin is hope, and Bitcoin fixes everything. I think it definitely was the case with our company. I mean, our stock was at $90 a share. We were $120 a share when we actually decided to embark on this strategy. And it imbued life into the company, life into the employee morale was dramatically boosted. You know, we just had our best first quarter we've had in a decade. I was ready to quietly retire. I had not posted on Facebook, not posted on Instagram, not posted on Twitter for 4 years, just about. And then Bitcoin happened to me, and I got dragged into the limelight again, and here I am.
Right. Yeah, it's really an incredible story. And so you mentioned something I was curious about, the culture at the company. You know, the CEO kind of establishes the mood, the culture of the company. So the Bitcoin now has changed the culture. You've seen a change in what's going on at MicroStrategy in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, the employees are really fired up.
Would you say that that's another selling point? In other words, when you talk to other CEOs, you say, oh, the stock's great, this asset's great, melting ice cube is great. But you know what? The culture at our company is also great. I think you have 2,000 employees. It's a big company. It's also a huge benefit there. Is that another point that needs to get across to these CEOs that might be sitting on the fence?
You know, Bitcoin is a technical imperative, it's an economic imperative, and it's a moral imperative. And if you want to revitalize your company, then you need to embrace it, right? And we see that example. If I have $1 billion on the balance sheet and it's in cash, I'm losing $200 million a year. You're draining money out the balance sheet, and if it's not on the P&L, you're not bringing it in on that side. So you're sucking energy out of the company with a conventional treasury strategy. And when we flipped, we started injecting energy into the company. It's like jacking your company into the electric power grid. If you look at successes like Square and PayPal, by them plugging into Bitcoin, it injected energy into their P&Ls. I mean, and they're just wonderful success stories in the industry. And so I think the story here is Bitcoin is hope for 8 billion people. If your company is going to be meaningful to the world, do something to spread Bitcoin. And if your company is sitting on a balance sheet that's investing their money into an asset which is losing 20% of its value every year, you know, here's a good idea, right? Stop the bleeding, right? Just stop the bleeding.
Right. So finally, let's just talk about the cyber hornets. On your Twitter, the lead tweet is the mentions of cyber hornets, the plebs, the meme artists, the ground forces, the people who are fighting every day in the trenches, who are fighting for those 10 Satoshis, 20 Satoshis, who are spinning the wheel over its fold for another, 20 Satoshis. How important are they to this Renaissance 2.0?
I think that the reason that Bitcoin is going to win is because of the community ethos. And when I refer to cyber hornets, yeah, I refer to everybody on Twitter and everybody in the community that's educating the world and defending Bitcoin. Yeah, and they're the loud in-your-face cyber hornets. But I was also thinking about every Bitcoin miner running a Bitcoin mining rig everywhere on Earth, and they're fighting for the network. And I was thinking about everybody running a node. And I think about a node is like an altar to Satoshi in your house. As long as everybody is running that node, they're defending the network and they're defending the movement. And I was thinking about every company, and I was thinking about every single technology that integrates into Bitcoin. I was thinking about every analyst and every politician and every journalist that's defending, speaking out for, educating, or supporting this network. And it's happening in every country, in Korean, in Japanese, in Spanish, in Russian, everywhere on earth. And, you know, one thing that I just love is, you know, if you go on television and you're the CEO and someone says, what do you think about Bitcoin? I think, okay, I'm going to talk about this and try to explain to the world why this is good for the earth, good for technology, the future of humanity. And then when I get done, I go home and I turn on the television, there's another Bitcoin CEO. And then the next morning, there's another Bitcoin CEO. And the next day, there's an analyst. And the next day, there's a politician. And I just think that's so great to be in a community. Every one of them is a cyber hornet. They're all fighting for Bitcoin. And when someone falls, someone else will stand up and carry the banner and take it forward. And I don't think you can say that about anything else on this earth.
Cometh the hour, cometh the man, Michael Saylor. Let's give it up.
Thank you.
For the Sailor Man.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you. All right.